that first year of it being kind of rocky, I mean, was there ever a point where you thought about quitting?
I took like a $10 pay cut to get into this. And it's like, what were you thinking? My whole first year there, I was behind. I'll be the first to admit that. I had a lot of catching up to do compared to a lot of people. It was hard for me. And it showed. Everyone's there to make money. Everyone's there to go home, and everyone wants you to perform better because it benefits them. If everyone works smoothly together, that's the best case scenario, right? So if they're taking time out of their day from what they're doing to slow down to show you something, it's worth listening and retaining.
If you're thinking about a career in the trades and you want to know what employers actually look for, what the work is really like, and what nobody tells you before you get started, you're in the right place. Built in the Midwest features conversations that'll help you figure out if this path is for you.
We got Cole Martinsen here. He's a journeyman lineman, and I'm going to be grilling him a little bit. We don't know exactly where this is going to go, but we're going to peel back what it's like to enter the field as a journeyman lineman, what it took to become an apprentice, and what that period looked like to get to where he is now. So, Cole, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
My pleasure. So take me back. Where were you when you first sort of decided that lineman was what you wanted to do?
Well, like most people, I got pushed towards a 4-year degree, and I had no idea what I was doing, so I went and did it. I went for business. My parents told me I was going for monkey business, which is what it ended up being. And I was there for like 4 months, I think it was, and it wasn't going anywhere. I felt like I was wasting a ton of money going just to have fun with my friends. And I started looking into it. I had some friends when I was in high school. Their whole family was linemen, his brother, his dad, the whole thing. So I got to looking into it. Thought, you know what, I'll give it a try. They make it seem like it's fun. So I ended up applying to a school about an hour from my house and got into it that way. And I mean, like everybody else that tries to get into the trade, you saw the cool helicopter video. You're like, I could do that. That looks like fun. Turns out it's not all like that, but it looked interesting. It looked like something fun to do, and I got into it that way. And I ended up showing up the first week. I mean, I wasn't scared of heights, but I wasn't like a big fan. But you commit to something, and you get that first week that you go there, and they have you just do up downs on a pole, and you go up 6 feet, back down 12 feet, back down. And we got to the 12 feet one, and I remember I was like, we're kind of committed now. We're in this. So, I mean, if you're thinking about it, but you're kind of on the fence and you're like, I'm not a big fan of heights, I'd still give it a try. You can kind of work past that, but that's about how I got into it.
Yeah. So did you go to straight to like a Hell Week, or did you go to a school first?
No, I went to a school first. So I went to a 9-month. I had kind of a backwards path. I got what everyone calls the golden handcuffs. I got roped in. Nothing against it if anyone wants to do it. I think there's a lot of good careers you can do in it. I went right from line school to a telecom job because I was told, like a lot of people are, that this will help you. And I ended up working there for a year. And then I got hired into a big metro company doing gas work just to get my foot in the door. I did that for a year. Then I was an electric designer for a year at the same company and just kept trying to work my way towards getting into a groundman spot, and eventually got there. But I mean, my route took me 4 years, which hurt me a lot during when I got back in because I hadn't been to line school in 4 years.
Yeah. Was that so? I'm sure the thinking at the time was like, well, this is it's a stepping stone. It's on the way to getting that position. But in hindsight, do you feel like it was kind of trying to play it safe? Like what?
I tried to play it safe, and I wasn't open at the time, which honestly, one of my bigger regrets is that I wasn't willing to go on the road. I wanted to stay around my house. I wasn't willing to go travel and do all that, which if I could redo it, that is one thing I wish I would have redone because it hurt me in the end, and it hurt me coming into the apprenticeship.
I think that's a really interesting point to just focus on for a second, because there are those that enter any industry, and when they have sort of, I guess, requirements, if you'd kind of call it that, of how they want to get into the industry and kind of the constraints they are putting on. Well, I want to do it, but only if I can do it this way. I want to stay at home. I don't want to have to be gone a long time. I don't want to work. I want to work for this company, not doing this other kind of work. I mean, my understanding is this is a pretty competitive industry. I mean, to what degree can you be picky, or do you need to just open yourself up to get started?
If I were to give anyone advice on it, I'd say do whatever you got to do to get started, get a leg up. Because when I started, there was guys that had been doing a groundman job or something for 2 years or working in the industry and had a knowledge of it, and they were miles ahead of me when I started. It honestly just hurt me because I hadn't been to line school. Everything that you learned there, you forgot about. By the time you got there, you're already behind. I would say that if you can get in anywhere, I would start there. Get as much experience on the job as you can.
Mm. So then you finally got an in. Was that, I assume, as an apprentice?
Nope, I came in as a groundman, so I had to do my 90-day probationary period and then started the apprenticeship.
Okay, so you had been working towards that for quite some time.
Yep.
When you first kind of got in there, made that move. I mean, if we had like body cam footage of you actually getting in there, we were a fly on the wall. I mean, what was that first couple weeks like, or first couple days?
It was a transition period for sure. I had, like I said, I was behind. My whole first year there, I was behind. I'll be the first to admit that. I had a lot of catching up to do compared to a lot of people. It was hard for me, and it showed. There's nothing you can do to say it differently. That it showed that I hadn't been in line school for 3 years. I hadn't been in the industry, and there's other guys there that are the same position as you that know exponentially more than you. So I had to do a lot of catch up. I got out of the woods on it, but it was a tough transition period.
What were some of the areas that you were really struggling with, that you had to really kind of to overcompensate with?
Well, even just the basic stuff that you would know, like if you came out of line school and you've been working with the material and everything, what people are calling it. If you like running a digger truck right away, because you come into the industry, that's your job, that's your truck. At least my experience of it is you can't do anything else. You can't work hot. That's your job. That is you are the guy setting poles. You are the guy moving like all that out, getting everything set up for it. That's your task.
So for those that are, when you look at the difference of those that go for a 4-year degree or something, you get your bachelor's or associates or whatever it might be, an entry level sort of job in that industry. If you wait a couple years, that degree fairly quickly also, it fades from relevance. But I think there's this maybe a misconception that is not as true in the trades. Things just change a little less quickly. Is it more from things in the industry changing, or is it just a kind of sharpness of the skill?
I would say more of a sharpness of the skill. It's just like the hands-on experience that you have and you like retain and remember. And then everywhere you go, you're going to work. People call everything differently material-wise, and everyone works things differently. There's a different way to do it. At any company you go to, you'll go to another company or another crew, even in like the metro areas where you switch shops, and whatever you learned there, that is the dumbest thing they've ever seen, and nobody should do it like that. And that's another thing that we do that is a little different, but it's got a good, the idea behind it is good, I think, to like switch you up. You work with different guys and stuff, but that is a hard transition period. You work with a group of guys, you get used to the way that they like material, the way that they like to build stuff, and then you do a rotation and they're like, what are you doing? What is that? And then you just kind of, you just roll with it. It is what it is, but it's just it helps you get exposure to a lot of different ways to do things. And I think that that's a positive.
Yeah. But if you come in and you have no idea how to do it anyway, then you're going to get extra turned around when there are different ways of approaching the same task or doing or just referencing things on site.
Yep. But even on the other end of the spectrum, now that I'm topped out, I'm a journeyman and everything, and you see young guys come in, you can tell, and it's kind of funny to look back on it now, where you can tell the guys that like they've worked for 2 different companies, they've been around, went and saw different things, saw how they do stuff, and they can transition so much easier than the guys that like, you know, they come in fresh or they came from a different industry, went to line school and got in, but they don't have the years of like, you know, the time, even 6 months of working at a contractor or something else, that you can tell instantly that they know are way more comfortable doing things, working, and it's easy to tell the difference.
Yeah. I'm sure that speed to adaptability and just like a general proficiency and confidence to like, all right, I don't know this, but I can figure it out because I know my foundations.
Yep. The confidence to figure it out is a good way to put that, I think.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because my interpretation, or my at least looking into the industry, you don't always know what you're getting into. Of, you know, when something goes down, it might not break the same way every time. So you got to be able to kind of think on your feet and know how to problem solve, you know, in the moment.
Yep. Every day, you can go do the same thing on paper and it's never the same job twice. Never. But that's part of the fun of it too. There's repetition to an extent, but for the most part, your whole entire career is you're doing something new every single day. And that's personally for me and a lot of guys, I think that's one of the perks of the job is you never see the same thing twice.
So just kind of laying out the timeline here. So you were in line school for 9 months, and it took about 3-4 years to get to the groundsman position. And then 90 days to apprentice.
Yeah, 90 days to apprentice, and then it's a 4-year apprenticeship after that. So
okay, so 4 years as an apprentice. I mean, what was that span like? So you had kind of your trial by fire of getting caught up and getting your skills resharpened, reacclimating to that environment. I mean, what was that apprenticeship period like?
It was, like I said, the first year was rocky. The first year was rocky getting caught up and everything. But after you get, once you get transitioned in, you figure out what everyone really expects of you. And and there's a lot of guys, I've worked with a lot of people that have been absolutely awesome. I've been very beneficial to my career that I got to work with them. And they pay attention to the guys that are trying to show you something. Is the best advice I can give anyone. Is if somebody's taking the time to actually give you their advice or the way that they would do it, there's a reason behind that. They're showing you because they want you to be better. And it takes a lot to, like, sometimes you got to eat your words. You know, somebody shows you for the 5th time something that they've shown you it before even, and you're like, But if you keep your mouth shut, just be grateful that someone's taking the time to show you it. That was another thing that I had a hard time with, but it's everyone's there to make money. Everyone's there to go home, and everyone wants you to perform better because it benefits them. If everyone works smoothly together, that's the best case scenario, right? So if they're taking time out of their day from what they're doing to slow down to show you something, it's worth listening and retaining. And guys expect that of you. Yeah.
So from in that first year of it being kind of rocky, I mean, was there ever a point where you thought about quitting?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I took a huge pay cut to come from working in the gas department to working overhead. I was making 30, I think it was at $33.50 an hour at 21 or 22 years old, which was good money for then, and I took a pay cut to become an electric designer. And then I took another huge pay cut to become an overhead groundman. So it was just like a steady stream. And, like you're having a rough day and you're sitting there and you're like, I took like a $10 pay cut to get into this. And it's like, what were you thinking? But I mean, it all pans out in the end. It doesn't, for anyone that's thinking that that's like, oh, I can't take a pay cut right now. It bounces back so fast. You don't even notice it. And you can, depending on where you work, you can work so much overtime that it cancels out if that's something that's genuinely holding you back. And I think that's a nice perk of at least working in them. If you have that opportunity, I know that there's smaller shops and smaller co-ops that don't offer that as much, but I definitely would recommend the trade to anyone that's actually interested in it.
Yeah. So just kind of level setting for, and this may vary depending on where someone is, but coming in at a groundsman, probably $18, $20 an hour, roughly, or
No, now, I mean, in our area, I think it's 20, I want to say it's 29 or 30 or something like that. Now, when I started, that was, well, what, 6 years ago now, 7 years ago, it was 23.50, I think, was our starting rate. So, I mean, like I said, from 33 something down to that, it's a pretty big pay cut, but it's worth it. I would say like metro area, probably around $30 an hour would be groundman rate.
Okay, and that's metro area, Twin Cities over in Minnesota. We're based in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. We get a lot of people from this region, from rural Wisconsin. So the numbers may be slightly less, but it's also like lower cost of living. So you'll still comparably, that's a pretty strong starting pay position.
Yeah, and like I said, it's a short duration. Right. It's a short duration of time. When you look back on it, you don't even notice it.
Sure. So kind of off. If you don't chase down overtime and you really kind of max out your hours, assuming even just a 40-hour week, from when you first kind of took that pay cut to when you became an apprentice, did it jump up once you started the apprenticeship?
Yep. So every step that you go up, so the way that ours is structured, it's an 8-step program. Every step that you go up, so every 6 months you get a raise. You're getting a pay bump every 6 months from the time that you start until you top out. And it's a percentage of journeyman rate. So it keeps consistent. It's like a $4 raise every 6 months, or $3 raise, I think it is. But
yeah. Not a lot of industries offering, $8 every year.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's it's better than the 3%.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, we don't have to get exact numbers, but when you max out kind of as a journeyman, kind of where do people sit in a range?
I would say, I think we're at $62.30 an hour. We just got our raise. And I know like over in Wisconsin and like co-ops and stuff like that, they're getting high 50s right now, I think is the going rate, right about that.
Hmm.
So, I mean, it's up there. I mean, it's gone up a lot since. That's the other thing is it's hiked up in the last since COVID, like $15 an hour we've gained. I mean, it grows exponentially.
Yeah. Does that seem to be slowing down?
I would say that it's leveled out at this point, but I mean, with inflation and everything, but that seems to be like right in the ballpark of what people are making. I would say like 60 to low 60s. Okay.
And when you add on the opportunity, if you do have overtime, I mean, what kind of, is that double time, time and a half? How does that kind of play out?
Yeah. So it seems, at least where we work, it's Sundays and holidays are double time. Anything after 8 is time and a half. So you can stack on. There's tons of people that stack on. I mean, we have one guy that makes, I think he gets like 2,000 hours a year. He works, that's his thing, is he works 2 full-time jobs. I mean, you can work as much or as little as you want. That's the kind of the beauty of the job, is that you can write your own paychecks.
Yeah. So, I mean, that might sound appealing for some, especially we get a lot of young guys, people that are, I would say the range is typically like 18 to 28. People come looking to get in the industry. Many of them say some variation of the same thing. Like, first couple of years, I am here to grind. I want to stack cash. I want to buy a house. I want to, get a car, start a family. And then eventually it kind of becomes like, all right, maybe I'll slow down a little bit.
Yeah.
Early years, like, all right, storm work, overtime, like, this is my life, 7 days a week. That's what I'm here for. And then usually they have some ambition of, all right, I'm going to go with the local, or I'm going to, pare it back a little bit.
Yeah, a lot of guys do that, and we get a lot of them that do that. But it is a sickness. You get used to those paychecks, and it's hard. It's hard. There's a lot of guys that have a hard time turning it down, but it's available to you. But I mean, like I said, there's tons of guys that work in the area. They work 40 hours a week, and they're comfortable with that. It's whatever you want it to be.
Right. Well, you kind of shared right now we're recording this on a Monday. You just shared that you picked up a shift last night on a Sunday, in the evening, and you got a couple hours of sleep. I mean, is that I guess for your sake, is that kind of a pretty typical sort of,
Yeah, I don't like to miss the double time calls. That's hard to pass up for me. But no, you get used to it. It's a different way of functioning. But I mean, I typically try to work 2 to 3 nights a week. If I get a call on Sunday, I'll work that, and we work 16s. So I mean, I'm normally looking at 16, probably 24 hours overtime a week, just on average, is kind of where I like to sit ballpark. But I mean, we're building a house, so I don't have as much of a choice as some people do.
Sure. You have a strong incentive to keep that income.
Yeah, I have a good incentive.
Yeah.
But
so, I mean, 16 hours a day. I mean, there are people that they look at 8 hours a day and they're like, oh, it's so much. It's, a long day, 10 hours a day. Oh my God, I'm, exhausted. How are you working 16 hours a day? And give me a sense of what are those 16 hours doing? Because I imagine you're not just sitting on the tailgate of a truck somewhere and hanging out.
No, we're not doing that. Well, first of all, it's a lot easier when you like everyone you work with. I work at an awesome shop. I love the guys I work with. Some of them are my best friends, and it doesn't seem like work when you have fun at it. And we have a lot of fun, so it's enjoyable. And I mean, my fiance gets mad about it, and she always, well, you're just hanging out with your friends. I was like, you can't be mad at me because I'm having fun at work. Just because I enjoy the people I work with, you can't get mad at me about it. But it makes the days go by so much faster when you get to work with people that you actually enjoy working with. And I think that's one of the coolest things about this job is it's a bunch of people. Everyone for the most part has the same general personality. You can get along with just about anyone in the industry that I've ran into, and I think that helps a ton. It doesn't seem like you're working 16 hours. It's easy when you're up in the air and you can just have a conversation. I mean, you're still at work, you're still working, but you can just have a conversation. What the other guy, I mean, when you start doing the math on it, you spend more time with these guys than you do your own family. Most of us, at least. I mean, you spend a lot of time with these dudes. I know their kids. I know their kids' names. I know what they're got going on. You're asking them what's going on with this. How was this? You went to the cabin this weekend. It's not bad. If you get into a good company like that, it's a lot of fun. Yeah.
So what is the actual work you are doing? I know, you never do the same job twice, but what's it typically look like? What got you called in last night?
I got called in there was a big silver maple that fell down and ripped, I think it was 3 spans. The secondary is down and a bunch of house services. So we had to go out there with a tree crew. It was backyard, so we got a 550 in there to get it all hooked back up. And it depends on the day, but on outages, right now we're in a big heat storm, so there's a lot of outages with everyone using all the AC and coming home after work and turning everything on, and we're not built in the city for that load. But it depends what you get called out on, stuff like that, burnt down wires, bad transformers a lot. It changes all the time. And it's a crapshoot. You're rolling the dice. You might have one that's not bad, and then you get out to one and you're like, oh, I should not have answered the phone. But it's all part of the fun.
Yeah. A lot of the guys I've talked to have this sort of pride in the work of all right, there are people that in summertime, their AC's out, their refrigerator's out. If it's up to me to get the power back on and take care of people. In winter, it's they're in their homes freezing until a crew gets out there and gets power back on. Do you feel anything like that sort of mission that comes with the work, or is it just all right, it's just?
No, absolutely. In the winter time and stuff like what you're saying right now, and you've been working on it for 6-7 hours, and you finally get to throw it back in and see the lights come back on, it definitely makes you feel good. 100%. Even last night, we had guys sitting out, you feel you're working, you're sweating, and you feel bad because they're sitting there out on their porch sweating too with you. And it's I'm working, man. I'm going as fast as I can. But it definitely gives you, it's a sense of enjoyment, I guess I'd say, to be able to actually see all the lights come back on for people. And you're like, well, at least I got that done for them. You know, your house is going to take forever to heat back up, but at least I got you something.
Right. So I mean, there's some of those pros. Like you're getting paid great money. You've got a sense of agency over your earning potential. You can have the fulfillment aspect of it. Like you were providing a valuable service that people need. This is not going away. But let's kind of look on some of the negatives of you're working potentially a tremendous amount of hours at strange intervals. I mean, what kind of tax does that take on you, your body, your family? Like, how do you navigate that aspect of it?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a balance to it. I mean, there's a lot of days. I mean, she'd like me home. I have stuff going on. We need to get done, and it's like, well, I gotta kind of take this call, or sometimes we get forced. Like you get forced on a storm. We were worried about that on the 4th of July, but I mean, it's just part of the job. I mean, it's a juggling act sometimes to get everything done, but I mean, you just gotta, sometimes you gotta step back and think about it and be like, do I need to take the call out? Do I need to go in on it? And you got to kind of just think about your home life too. I mean, like I said, it turns into a sickness. You start getting on a roll where you come in on a Sunday, you work all night, you get paid to sleep, then you can come back in for 16, and you get on like day 3 of that, and you're like, you want to keep going because I mean, you want your check to stack up, but you need to go do something. There's something that your family needs, or you got to take a step back. You can't let it consume you. It gets to that point sometimes, and you just kind of breathe, and you're like, okay, I don't need to do this. I want to do this. But it definitely, there's a lot of people that I mean, that's what they do. They work 6 nights a week, and then the one day they spend with their families, stuff like that, try to balance it out. But it's a juggling act for everyone. You just kind of got to figure out what your balance point is and what you're trying to make out of the job would be my best advice on it. Figure out what works for you.
Yeah. So I want to make it really like explicit you do have a fair degree of control over that, pending like, natural disasters and emergencies. Like, all right, we need everyone because the whole city has no power. We had some crazy, once in a century storm or something. But for the most part, in a typical week, you can decide if you're like, all right, I need to take a step back. The marriage is suffering a little bit. I need to put a little bit more energy into that for a week or two. You have the capacity to do that generally?
Yes, I would say generally, depending on, I mean, I know the over the road guys have a different setup than we do in a local, but for where I work and what I've experienced, you have the ability to be like, you know what, I'm just not like this month. I'm just Jimmy's got a baseball game that you want to go to or something. Like he's got practice on these days. It'd just be easier just to be home. You can 100% do that. Like I said that before, but there's guys that have made a career out of working 40 hours a week. Mm-hmm. They don't like working overtime. They don't need to work overtime, which all the power to you.
Yeah. I think that's a really big one because there are some trades that we're involved with, like for over the road truck drivers. I mean, it takes a toll. There is a commitment. Everyone who's in the space is like, this is a lifestyle, not a job, because you're gone a lot. And you don't always have that control of when you come home. So for the lineman's sake, a degree of that holds true if you're out doing over the road or you're doing storm cleanup, which comes with benefits also. You're making
yeah, there's money. Absolutely perks that go with that. But
right. But for those that do have that sort of seasonality approach, all right, there might be a span of a few years where I'm committing this chunk, over the course of, you come in, you get entry level, you finish your apprenticeship, you're out, doing this work. Like you can make great money as a young guy, or and save, invest, set yourself up, and be able to pull back when you've got things that take over as priorities.
Right.
Well, you got to kind of plan things accordingly and know, what does your lifestyle require? Because I imagine you've also seen the people that. I think you mentioned earlier the golden handcuffs. If you start getting used to seeing those checks at a certain threshold, and if your needs, your expenses are, hitting that number, and like you're not building a nest egg, or you're not, diversifying that.
That's 100% a trap that I think a lot of people fall into. Is you start getting comfortable with those inflated numbers, and you buy the truck, you buy the boat, you buy all that, and then all of a sudden you have to be there to work that amount. And that's a scary. I've tried to avoid that. I mean, like when I was first starting, yeah, it's super easy. You start seeing these checks that are huge, and it's like, well, I can afford to do anything. Right. And then you start looking at it and you're like, well, I'm paying for a truck, I'm paying for a side-by-side, I'm paying for a house. It's like, it starts adding up quick. So, I mean, yeah, I would recommend avoiding that, just because you're making more money, still be smart with it, have a nest egg, be ready to, set yourself up where you don't have payments. That's the best advice I can give on it.
Yeah. Please speak with like a financial professional.
Yeah, don't talk to your buddy at work that also has the side by side and the wake boat.
Yeah. Please, terrible. Like friends and family are the worst place to go to for financial advice. They don't have the right motivation. Like they want you to. They will prioritize other things for you. And like,
anybody will tell you to buy a boat that's your friend. That is a trap.
Right. Yeah, because they want to have a friend with a boat. They don't want to own.
100%. That's what everyone says who has a boat. Have a friend that has a boat.
Exactly. It's way better.
Yeah, you don't have to pay for gas or anything. But no, it's definitely, especially when you don't have a lot of money prior to that and you get into those checks, it definitely, like I said, it turns into a sickness for a lot of people. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing, do what you want, but I would say stockpile some of it. You don't have to waste it all. It all doesn't have to go away.
Right. Give yourself a fund, like put something aside, whatever that is. And because I think those that do come from, we'll say, humble backgrounds, so maybe you didn't have a lot of money growing up, like especially as a kid, if you didn't get a lot of the things you wanted and then you have children of your own, like there's a very strong tendency in men our age, like, all right, I'm going to overcompensate from my childhood and really spoil my kids. And that can be, you got to really, not to make this into a therapist session, but like you got to analyze kind of where that's coming from and where enough is enough. Like, by all means, indulge a bit, but like be intelligent about it. Which we're just two guys on the internet at this point. Like, don't ignore us if you don't want to hear that. That's fine. But you're also one injury away from potentially being, severely impacted. So you got to plan for the future a little bit.
Exactly. And you never know. I mean, the overtime, I've never seen it dry up, but I've heard from guys that have been there a lot longer than me that it does. I mean, it can go just like that. Tomorrow you could come in and be like, yep, nope, we're not working on any more overtime. We're just doing outages and scheduled work. And then, I mean, you can't, I don't ever count on overtime. It's a nice perk, but I try to live within what my salary is. Anything extra is just additional money.
Right. Yeah. I think that's a good approach. There are some of the detractors of this industry. I think now we've got the good, the bad. Now, how about a little bit of the ugly of this is dangerous work? I mean, what are some of the ways for people that are maybe looking at the industry, what are some of the ways that this can go wrong? Have you seen it gone wrong out on jobs? Like, I mean, what does that actually look like?
Yeah, it definitely can go wrong. I've been a part of a couple that went poorly. I don't think I can technically talk about those because they're within. I don't think we've closed out on those quite yet. But no, it is scary and things do happen. Whether you see it or not, whether you're there or not, you'll hear about it one way or another through the grapevine. Somebody knows somebody that something happened to, and accidents do happen a lot. I mean, not a lot, but enough that it makes you think about it. And I guess if I had any advice to give, if you don't know something or you're not confident in your answer, ask, because it's not worth it. It's way better to feel dumb than wake up in a hospital and you're burnt, in my opinion. I mean, a lot of times it's intimidating as a young guy to ask, and you're like, God, I know this is a dumb question, but I mean, nobody wants to see anybody get hurt. So if you don't know, I would say ask. That's the best advice I can give you on that.
I think there's an ego aspect, at least in many of the young men that I've met in the industry. There is a bit of a character trait that carries through that somehow, I won't say they're reckless, but they do have a risk aversion level of they kind of detach from the fact that, they're hanging off a line, 50 feet up. And there's kind of a mental space to go to where they separate from the danger and they focus on the task at hand. But there is a need for that sort of sense of the danger that, a few seconds can make a big difference. Whether you forget what you're doing and you don't insulate something properly, or you cut yourself, or whatever. Just even staying hydrated on hot days, and no one wants to have heat stroke on a pole. Yeah. There's so many things that can happen, and there's things that aren't even in your control. You're up in a bucket truck, and some oversized vehicle clips the boom and sends
there's more than just the electricity aspect of it. There's a lot of things that come into play. Cutting tree limbs, that's a big one that I've seen go wrong a lot of times. And I wasn't in a bad spot for it, but you think about it, you're like, I could have been standing there. I could have been 15 feet closer and that would have landed on me. Yeah. Just all the things you don't think about that absolutely affect what your safety is. The amount of people that I've seen cut their hands and heard all these horror stories about using a skinning knife and slicing their whole forearm open. It's all the little things that you do every single day that end up getting you.
Yeah. Every single class we have somebody, usually week 1 or 2, and so they gaff themselves in the calf or the ankle or something. And well, this is why we say don't do that.
Yep.
And it happens so quick, and it's nobody's fault. But by the time it happens, it's too late. You can't.
Yeah. There's definitely things that come. It's just the nature of the job. It's a dangerous job. There's a lot of dangerous aspects to it, and then you tack on all the other things that any other regular job would have on top of that. And there's a lot that can go wrong. But just keep your head on a swivel, pay attention, don't get complacent with things. And I don't know, it's one of the bigger things is a lot of accidents, I feel like, are based on people taking, everyone says it's taking shortcuts and stuff. But you're up in the air and you're like, oh, I don't think I need that much rubber. I could probably get away with one hose, one blanket. And everyone's been there. I don't care who you are. You've been in that position where I don't think I need to carry all that. It's just a pain to put all that out. Just do it. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
And for the most, I haven't ever experienced it. Nobody's going to give you a hard time about being overly safe.
Yeah.
There's no, I don't think there's any pride aspect to, well, I used less cover up than you did. It's okay, nice. Good for you, man.
Right. But everyone wants to go home. If
right.
Every crew is different, I'm sure. But like you said, you spend a lot of time with these people. You don't want to see, you don't want to be the one calling someone's family. Be like, hey, they're in the ER.
No. Yeah, you definitely, I don't want to make that phone call because I know, the majority of them, I've met their wives. I know who they live with. I know their families. I don't want to be the one to make that phone call.
Right.
And I would assume that everyone's pretty much on the same page with that. Nobody wants to see anyone get hurt. No one wants to have to make that phone call.
Yeah. So these are all, they're just real parts of, of this work. And I wanted to talk about it because it gets discussed pretty frequently. When, at least with our students and, different schools do their own thing. And I hope everyone kind of gives that discussion the gravity that it requires because, we want everyone safe. We want, long, healthy careers, right? So for those that are kind of just feeling out, they're interested in the space. My understanding is you have a little bit of a side project you started up recently.
Yeah. So
tell us about U.S. Trade Route.
Basically, I've had so many people ask me, and I feel like everyone in the industry has had somebody ask them. My cousin's brother's son's nephew wants to get into line work. How does he start? And my buddy's little brother asked me a couple of months ago and was asking me about it. And I was laying in bed that night and I was like, I feel like there's nothing that tells people. Cause you start thinking about it. Nobody has any real idea on how to get in. There's no, there's such a gap. I feel like from high school, career changing, veteran, stuff like that into getting into trades jobs and what it all requires. basically, I just wanted to have something that gives like how-to guides on how to get started. Like, for example, like everyone wants to, I feel like everyone who's ever gotten into line work has seen the video of the dude on the helicopter doing it and thought, wow, that's cool. But nobody knows, like, I didn't know for years how to get into that or what it took. So, I mean, like, we basically have how-to guide articles that we try to type out. We try to have a good section for each trade, or I'm trying to build it out as it goes, that tells you, like, okay, you want to be a helicopter lineman, you need to do this. What's the difference between a transmission or distribution lineman? Like, where's the work at? What are you doing day to day? What's the difference in that? The pay guides on how, like, what, I don't know if you had a chance to look at that interactive map that we built that tries to have a little better range on what you're actually making per state, per trade. Mm-hmm. And basically, it's just kind of, I'm trying to make a bridge between the high school and like the guys that are just starting out or trying to get into the trades and where you need to go from there. Like a pre-Indeed, I guess.
Yeah. Because there's so much. When you look at everything early scale is going to be like the sizzle videos of like, oh, look how cool it is. Which, I mean, we are, complicit in that too, because you want it to look interesting. You want it to, feel engaging and like kind of give people a taste of the, the cooler aspects of it, the visual sort of experiences of it. But then there's all right, what do I have to do? How long does it take? What does it pay? What does it legitimately pay? Not like the inflated recruiter poster version, but like, what realistically am I going to see where I am and what are the factors that go into it?
Right. Or like even with line work, like the over the road versus working at a local or working union or non-union, like what, because I mean, like it's such a vast amount of knowledge. And unless you know somebody that's doing it, then how would you ever know? You'd never know. Like I when I was in high school, I would have never known what a lineman makes or what a lineman does day to day. And I just feel like that there's got to be something in between there so you can at least attempt to figure out on your own, or at least have like a guide to go like, okay, well, I like this aspect of it. This sounds cool. Like in this article, I think I'd like to try this. So what we're trying to do is just roll out that for as many trades as we can and just get a wide, I guess, directory of the different options that you have available to you and like what do you actually get paid per state. Because I mean, like we talked about on the phone, like when I was in high school, at least when we had like the career day thing and it's like, what does a plumber do? And they're like, well, I don't know. I know that the shit runs downhill and payday's Friday. So, I mean, like that's about the knowledge that we have of it. There's a guy down the road who has a van that says something plumbing. You can talk to him about it. It's like, but nobody really knows what, I mean, like there's so many, even with plumbing, there's so many different jobs that you can have in that little realm.
Right.
It's just,
it's not just the guy under the kitchen sink, turning a wrench. Like there is more to it than that.
Yeah. What does he do? He fixes kitchen sinks, I think. And other than that, I'm not entirely sure, but nobody really passes it on or shares where, like, what do you need to be certified to be a plumber? How many years does it take? It's that sort of thing that I feel like there's just a big gap.
Yeah.
It's just been such a push for so long to have a 4-year degree that, I mean, unless this is just my personal opinion, but I mean, you take it with a grain of salt, but if you're not going to be a doctor or a lawyer, why wouldn't you? I mean, you might as well get into the trades. It's the only thing that competes. I mean, the way things are going with like AI and everything and business degrees and stuff. I mean, I have friends, nothing against it, but I mean, like you're selling copiers with a 4-year degree for 50, 60 grand a year. Like, I'm not good at math, but that doesn't math to me. Right.
Yeah. There's a whole kind of debate on, the value of education for education's sake. And I think it takes looking at where do you want to be in life and what does it take to get there? Like, how do you want to actually spend your time? Because there are people that should not get into the trades. Linemen.
Oh, absolutely. We've worked with them. I've had them that, I mean, we've had people come in that it's like, I don't know if you've ever seen a wrench in your life, but it's like that you've never been able to be outside. And it's crazy that these people have even like made their way to this position. But
there are people that we've had come through that even early on, like they're not even to apprenticeship yet. And you're like, I don't know, man. Like there's a threshold here where this is a competitive field. And like, if you can't get to the top of a pole, I mean, like there's a period where you're battling that anxiety and you're overcoming fear of heights. But there does reach a threshold like, all right, you've been at this for a while now. Like this is like minimum. You got to be able to do stuff up there. You got to be able to get up and down. Like what if you had to go up and get somebody? You're like,
that does. We have to test for that every year. That's a real thing. You do climb, whether you think you do or not. We do still climb. I mean, not as much as you used to, but I mean, you are on your hooks. There's been lots of days that we've been on our hooks in backyards where there's no truck access, and that is part of the job, and you need to know how to do it.
Yeah. So I guess for those that they're hearing this, like, okay, great. It sounds interesting. I want to make the money. The lifestyle sounds good to me. I'm in the path to get there. Like, all right, I can go to a line school. I can get the apprenticeship. I do apprenticeship. I can start as a groundman. I can work my way up. Getting $4 bumps every 6 months sounds sweet to me. I'm into it. Like at what point, is there anything that should maybe be the point? Like, like you probably shouldn't necessarily go for this. And like, who is this the best for?
I would say if you got any ambition, you got a little bit of hunger to make some money and you're willing to learn, I don't see any reason that you couldn't make it in this trade. But if you can't read a tape measure, you probably shouldn't try it. Believe it or not, we have had a guy who could not read a tape measure. That was mind-boggling to me. I mean, going into it if you're cut out for it or not. There's definitely there. I don't want to say there's a stigma, but it takes a personality to be able to do the job. And the majority of the people, I mean, they're, like I said before, everyone has the same template personality for the most part, the same kind of ideas. And if you don't have that, you will stick out. Don't get me wrong, there's outliers. There's definitely outliers here and there. But for the most part, I would say everyone's kind of on the same page with their work ethic, what they're, you know what I mean? Like what they expect out of the job. Everyone's here to make money, and it's a lot of work. Most people, I don't know if there's another career path where people bully you for making less money than them. Like, on paydays, everyone's like, well, what did you make? Oh, I made $1,000 less than you, and you get bullied for it. I mean, it's all in fun, but I mean, like, it's just, there's a mentality to it. And if you don't fit into that and you're kind of trying to skate by, you heard how much of the money that can be made on this, and you're just trying to skate by in the background, that there's a spotlight on you immediately. You do not hide or blend in.
Yeah. So if you're looking to coast, probably not necessarily the right fit for you.
No, I wouldn't think so. I would say, we've had them come through, and I'm not saying anything. Some nice guys, it's not for you. And it's very easy to tell pretty rapidly, which, I mean, good for you for trying. A lot of them, I mean, you tried it, you wanted to see what it was about, that's fine. But you can, I mean, if you think you're just going to skate by and just kind of hide in the corner kind of thing and wait for everyone else to do the work, people notice.
So if someone hears all that and like, okay, great, I'm willing to work, they understand what they're getting themselves into. They're 18, 19, 20, maybe they're a little older and doing a career change. Maybe they went and got the 4-year degree and they're like, that sucked. Now I've got to find a way. I need a career that I can actually pay my student loans, hilariously enough.
Yeah.
And they go do something entirely different. What would be your advice for them to find success in this trade?
First and foremost, this is one of my favorite ones that I did when I started, and I thought I was being real sneaky. When you put the digger remote on the bumper and you're scared to set the pole and you try to act busy and hope someone else does it, no, you're not fooling anyone. Everyone knows what you're doing because they've done it before you. That would be my first piece of advice. But don't be scared to try and learn things. The best way to learn this job is to be uncomfortable, is the best advice that I can get. Not in a dangerous way. I'm just saying, if you're like, I don't know if I'm ready to do this, try just try it. That's the best advice I can give you, is try, because that's the only way to learn and get comfortable is to become uncomfortable.
Great advice. Cole,
Yeah,
thank you so much for coming on. I think
absolutely. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, and we will definitely have links to US Trade Route in the show notes, the description, wherever you're watching or listening to this, so you can check out some of those pay ranges, some information on these different industries. Because you might look into it, think lineman sounds awesome, and you might find out that maybe diesel tech is more up your alley, or heavy equipment operation is really more kind of what you're looking to do. And there are different sort of industries you can slide into based on what is the best fit for you, your lifestyle, your goals, and your family. So make sure to check that out. Thank you, as always, for watching or listening to this one, and we will see you next time.